What is up, everyone? My name's Al from Games Re-Up, as you know, because I pretty much introduce every single video like that. So obviously I've got a few guests this evening on the Fan and Devs stream. That's right, the Fan and Devcast, we'll call it, where we basically discuss Dreamcast homebrew stuff. We just discuss basically our love for the console. Like I said, we've got a few guys lined up. We've got Itsmuchmore. We've got Ian Michael, who obviously is a dev, so obviously he's going to have the inside scoop on everything happening with the Dreamcast at the moment in the homebrew scene. We'll also have a couple more guests dropping in at some point. We'll take questions from the audience, etc. We're just chilling, basically. So first of all, we'll bring in James to introduce himself, and then we'll move straight on to Ian. So, James, how are you doing?
How you doing? Hey,
you doing
there,
well?
Al. I'm doing very well. Thank you very much. Yes.
Good. I like your backdrop there.
Backdrop. Oh yes, we got a Dreamcast there with House of Dead 2, a keyboard there for aesthetic purposes, and a controller and a VMU, just because it's Dreamcast stream.
I love that. Thank you very much, James. And let's
No
introduce Ian. Ian Michael. Hello, Ian. How you doing?
Hello. I'm in my dark dev cave here.
Yeah, I love it, mate. Yeah, how you doing? You all right?
I'm doing all right. This is my I think it's 199 square feet.
Oh, right. Okay.
Little tiny bunker.
Mate, it's your dev bunker. I love it.
Yeah.
Right. So we've got, like I said, it's us three at the moment. Like I said, there's going to be some more people dropping in at some point. So we've got a few questions starting to line up. Let's see what we've got. So the first of all, the one we're going to sort of jump in with is simple one. Why do you love the Dreamcast? And we're going to start with James.
Oh, well, my gamer name is Dreamcast UK, purely because when I played the Dreamcast online, it was an amazing experience. And yeah, when I saw the Dreamcast at launch, when I saw it in the kiosk, I was like, this is an amazing console, because I had the Mega Drive. Then I missed the Saturn, so I was like really hoping that Sega would bring out a new console. They did, and it was Dreamcast, and had fond memories of it and love for it. But ever since it was released, so yeah, awesome.
Yeah, totally, mate. I mean, I had the Dreamcast from launch, and I don't think I've ever stopped playing it. I don't think it's really come to a point where I haven't stopped playing it. There's so much going on with it still now, as we know, and it's just the gift that keeps on giving. So let's move over to Ian Michael and do exactly the same thing. Let's ask him exactly the same question. Ian, why do you love the Dreamcast?
Anyway, well, I got it on launch as well, but I was in a PAL territory, and the launch for the Dreamcast there was absolutely messed up. So people thought I was an absolute idiot for getting one. And when I did get it, there was hardly any games and anything like that. But as I played the system, I liked the clarity of the graphics. I liked the fact that they were forward thinking in being online and stuff like that. And also the visual memory unit really took my imagination at the time, because I thought, ooh, look, it's going to be like a little Game Boy in your hand. Well, we know how that is. But when they were promoting it was, oh, you can play games on it too, which you can. But the reason why I love the Dreamcast is the Dreamcast scene, the people in it. When I started coming to the Dreamcast scene, it was because I wanted certain things done that weren't done. So then I decided, oh, well, I'll try and do them myself. So that's how that started. But my love of Dreamcast is more on the homebrew side and the people in the scene, and not as much as other people would be with the games, except for Blue Stinger, because my mother loved Blue Stinger. She thought, look at those big people on screen. That's amazing. she was amazed at it. She still talks about it right now. So that was another thing. I got Shadow Man and Blue Stinger, and she loved both of those. And so that was the two games that showed me. Oh, and also Ferrari 355 or F5, or I don't know. but that was the one that actually felt like you were controlling a car. Very good with the steering wheel that I had, and that was the one that I thought, well, now this is the next generation of game consoles. It was that particular game. All right.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, go on.
No, that's it. That's it. I mean, that's my love of it really is because other people love it and C coding, and that it was a console that you could actually code for, kind of like the Raspberry Pi of its time. Because once it was dead in 2002, a lot of us had already played all the games for years. Like, you know, so there's a lot of people come new to it and are playing the games. But by 2002, a lot of us that started with the launch were pretty disappointed that there wasn't any new games. So thought I had to do something. I have to make something for it because it felt really actually kind of sad because it was just like one day you thought you were getting more games and then that's it, it's dead. And especially for me, $649 on launch, you start to get a bit, worried about, well, that was a waste of money.
Yeah, to be fair, I didn't realize it went for that sort of price. Is that because I can't remember how much it was in the UK. I think it was only like 199 or 299 pounds. Is that right? Does that sound right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
it was about that, wasn't it? Okay, I've just noticed. I believe that's Gokai Blue. We've got who's just joining us right now. Thumbs up, there he is. Hey, how you doing?
Hello.
So yeah, we're basically at the moment asking everyone, why do you love the Dreamcast? So Gokai Blue, tell us why.
Well, I just love all things Sega in general, and I've been a retro guy ever since I was like 10 years old. So when I looked at the Dreamcast, it was like that one system that you couldn't get the original versions of the games on collections, and it seemed like the one system that seemed out of reach. See, the Genesis, and to a certain extent, the Saturn, but not really. But the Genesis was like, I give all the games to one of them in collections, like the OG, Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, all those in collections. With Dreamcast, I was lucky if I was able to get the OG version of Sonic Adventure. But as I played it more and more, and I got one like in Christmas of 2011, and was it 2010? I can't remember now. But as I got it more and more, I just love the community around it, and I love that it's still thinking to this day. I mean, what other console can you think of that still has an active online community to this day? I think you can think of like only a couple of consoles, but the Dreamcast, I think, probably has one of the biggest ones of extinct online functionality, like official. So my best part why I love the Dreamcast is just the community around it, and just it's a neat little console. I mean, it feels like it's like a stepping stone between like our modern age and like the games of yesteryear. So for me, that's why I really love it. That's because it's just a cool little console, and the games still look impressive to this and play well to this day. And I feel like just there's an era of gaming that is just gone when the Dreamcast left the scene.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, to be fair, because we all know the community at the moment is absolutely pretty much booming. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's bigger than it's ever been. I mean, all you have to do is look at the stuff Ian's working on and all the other devs. It's a constant flow of new stuff. And the console, because obviously at the moment, there's a retro resurgence. I mean, I don't like calling it retro, but we'll call it classic gaming resurgence. And we all know I hate that term, retro. That's just, it's getting so many people into the older consoles, especially the Dreamcast, which still, as we know, visually is still pretty damn impressive and is still being pushed, to its limits. So, I mean, I think it's the console that currently just keeps on giving. So we got a couple more questions here. What have we got here? So we will go for this one here. One cancelled game for the Dreamcast you wished was released, and we can't all say Castlevania. And so let's go. Yeah, we all wanted to say it, but let's go to James.
I'm going to say Propeller Arena Aviation Battle Championship.
I've never heard of that.
You've never heard of it? Well, it's basically Outrigger online with planes or whatever by AM2, and it would have been an awesome online dogfight shooter, and but sadly, we all know why that didn't happen. But it is available out there to download, and hopefully one day they can get it back working because it supports the broadband adapter. But that's one game. I'm going to say one more because I'm being a bit cheeky, because I wanted Max Payne as well, because I saw the trailer for that, the E3 trailer, and I was like, I've not got a decent PC to run Max Payne, so I've got a console. So I was just so looking forward to it, and then it weren't released on the Dreamcast. So that's a shame. But yeah,
It
that's
really
my
is.
1/2.
Like I said, I've covered Max Payne before, and the problem is there's so much kind of leaked footage. Well, E3 footage, but there's really not much apart from that, and it really is a shame. Well, I mean, there's got to be something somewhere, some sort of playable version, something that's out there.
There will be.
I'll be surprised, if there isn't. So let's move to Ian.
Okay, for a cancelled game, I would
Yes.
say Soul Reaver 2, that was going to come out. They had the whole game playing at the E3, and then they just changed, and because of what Sega pulled out, that just got cancelled. But it was looking very good, and that would have been a nice game to have on the system. That's what I think, anyway, because it was the way they were doing the game, they were really pushing the system with that one. But as far as cancelled games go, there's quite a big list of them, and some of them, like Half-Life, I think it would be nice to have the finished version of Half-Life that doesn't destroy the save file games when you play it too long. But that would be nice. And that it was a bit optimized, because even though it's finished and everything like that, it's definitely not as good as it could have been, because it's actually better resolution than the PS2 version, and it's only running between 4 and 5 frames a second different, and with a higher resolution. So they had more to put into that game, but I don't think we'll ever see it. I've heard there is a finished build and it's locked inside a safe somewhere. Hopefully one day we'll get that, along with Take the Bullet, which turned into a different game and was finished, and that was reported we might be getting that, but we'll see.
Oh, could be. That could be hot off the press right there. Okay, let's move on to Connor, aka Gokai Blue, for his cancelled game of choice he'd like to see.
So I'm going to be cheeky as well and list multiple games. Basically, I'm going to say that any like Xbox exclusive game that went to the Xbox, if I was originally playing for Dreamcast, I think would have been awesome. Like Jet Set Radio Future, Panzer Dragoon Orta. But and again, Half-Life would have been awesome as well. But I really think this would change the game if they've gotten out. Fable.
Yeah.
Fable.
Yeah. Fable.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I've never played Fable, although I know pretty much everyone who talks about it talks about it in a fondness, I mean, yeah, I think that would be.
I feel like that's what that and more shooters, but I feel like that is what the Dreamcast really needed. Another big open world game that I dare say would even surpass Shenmue, because from what I've heard of Fable, is just very, very expansive.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say, talking about games that obviously went to Xbox, have we seen the terrible port of Halo? You must have seen it. It's kind of like, yeah, to be fair, it's kind of just it's a Quake. I think it's just a Quake mod that they've turned into basically a Halo game.
Oh yeah, I think I saw that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, not that thing.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah, that thing. That's right. It's basically it's a multiplayer map, and they've put kind of like Halo skins on it. It's not great. I gotta be quite honest.
No,
but it is. No. It is what it is. Right, here we go. Let's go for another question, and here we go. What's your favorite new released game for the Dreamcast? Being that there are many. Now, this doesn't have to be just retail releases or ones that physically sold online. This can also be kind of from the homebrew scene as well. Let's go straight to James. It's much more.
Well, I don't tend to buy many new Dreamcast games. I mean, from like Josh Prod and stuff like that, because they're quite expensive. I mean, I wanted to get like Fade to Black and Flashback. I know they're not new Dreamcast games, but I have picked up Arcade Racing Legends, which was okay. So much of it they could have made better, like having online multiplayer. Because for me, the Dreamcast is all about online. I know lots of people like the devs, they like the community, they like homebrew ports. I'm all about online because that's what got me into the Dreamcast. That's why I stayed here, and that's why I then moved to the Xbox original, because the Xbox Live. So yeah, if a game hasn't got online for me, especially during the pandemic, like when they released, say, Battletoads on Xbox One, it was couch co-op. Who's got 4 or 3 friends to come around at 2 meters apart to play a couch co-op game? It needs to be online. If it's been released during a pandemic, you need to have online functionality.
Especially Battletoads.
Yeah, I mean Battletoads as well. So for me, the Dreamcast is all about online, and this is a shame that that new release didn't have online functionality. I've not even put the game in since I got it on release and since I've done my review. If it had online play or any sort of online leaderboard or downloadable something or other, you know, it would have had more longitude or whatever on it. But I'm going to stick with that one as my best one because I've not bought any other ones, and it's pretty okay for a racing game. I do like my racing games on the Dreamcast.
I was going to say, you go quite on about is it the one that Ian was on about earlier, the F355.
Oh
game?
yes,
you bang on about that game, don't you?
Well, it's because I played that online back in the day, and it's a ghost race. It was a ghost racing online game. So you did a qualifying lap, then you watched a replay to see if you made it for the race, and then all the names would come along. And if you made it, then you get the chance to race around the track again, doing the laps on your own, and then you all watch a replay with all the other racers, and you see how well you did your racing line, you see how others did their racing line, and it's just really cool. And you know how impressive that game looks. I mean, I don't know if you've seen it in the arcades where it's got the 3 screens where you can actually just look to your left and right and you see the other racers. That game is probably the most impressive looking game via VGA on the Dreamcast. And I've got a link table as well, so I tend to be like an arcade machine. I'll link 2 Dreamcasts with 2 F355s linked up when I play against my brother. But yeah, I'm the only one that's got the footage out there of a Sega message saying farewell and thanks for your participation for F355, because I was on the very last day when the servers got turned off. And yeah, I've got that on a VHS somewhere that I need to upload to YouTube somewhere, so to share it with the world, because there is only one clip on YouTube at the moment with online footage, and that looks really bad quality, and this one hopefully will be a little bit better.
Yeah, that would be really good to see, to be fair, at some point. I see we've got 2 more people in the group here. We've got Mr. Neo and Ultra 64. We'll join those guys in straight in a minute. And we'll continue with this. We'll go on to Ian. And what's your favourite new release game for Dreamcast?
I think my favourite, as you would say, retail or sold one was Exciter, because that was like a 10-year project, and it was quite amazing to see all the different styles of gameplays and the nod to Space Harrier in there. And I think how it runs very smoothly, and to know it's made with Callistos operating system, the homebrew dev kit, and that I know some of the coders behind it, and to see that come to fruition, because if you had seen how it started, it was nothing like that. And it's a very competent, well-coded package, and actually a fun game too, with lots of unlockables. It even has unlockables and things to do, and it's got that arcade feel where you could play it over and over again. So that would be the homebrew one like that, that was retail sold, would be Exciter. Because I don't think anyone expected it ever to be finished, ever.
Yeah, I got to say I quite like that one. To be fair, I did a review of it. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. And you're right, you can tell they've put a lot of time into it. And it's clearly a finished product and exactly how it should be released. So let's move on to Go Kai Blue.
So I actually haven't played any of the quote unquote retail new ones. Actually, I've played a lot of the more homebrew ones. So I'm gonna say my favorite one. This is gonna be an unpopular one. It's not even that full of a game, but Sonic Road Blast 2. I mean, I'm a sucker for Sonic games, so that's one of my favorites. I'm glad that when they ported to the Dreamcast, that it actually worked. But other than that, what I haven't played yet, but I'm looking forward to now that I have a add Thomas Wave BBA solution, or as we call it in the Dreamcast community, Beer BA. But I'm gonna have that is Doom. I just love all the things that they can port to Dreamcast well. Like there's always some things that can be ported to Dreamcast well, like Halo or stuff like that. But I just love seeing what they can bring onto Dreamcast and just give that old white box some life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I got to be honest. One game, trying to think what I've played that is new released recently. I mean, FX Unit Yuki. I'll be gobsmacked if you haven't all at least taken a look at that. That is a James, did you just nod there?
I think there was a fly in here. I don't know what it was. Yeah.
How have you not played that?
I don't play anything that's not got online play at the moment. You know, I don't play it. I mean, yeah. So I like to be there when a new online title gets dropped. So yeah, I've not played any independent games or any homebrew games for some time.
Unbelievable, mate. Call yourself a fan.
Nah, I know, bad, isn't it?
Shame.
Mr. Neo, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm glad to see everyone here.
Yeah, thanks for joining the stream, my friend. So and Ultra 64, you're there as well. How you doing?
In the flesh. Hello. Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
I love
How
the t-shirt, by the way.
Favorite game of all time.
Repping, mate. I love it. So, Mr. Neo, what's your favorite new release game? Bearing in mind, it doesn't have to be retail. It can be homebrew.
I have... What is... Oh, gosh. I feel so bad because I just bought it. What is it? It's not... Is it Xenocider?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Definitely.
I think, to be fair.
Just great devs. So cool to see it finally come out. Definitely favorite of mine. That and probably number 2 would be 4x4 Jam, just for kind of a different 3D racing project.
Yeah, I think James talks about 4x4 Jam all the time, to be fair. Because we're gonna I think that's the one. Is that the one you said we were gonna play online?
Ooh, not online.
No, that's the other 4x4 racing game.
It's the other one. There you go. See, Evo. That's the one.
The other one.
Sound like an absolute
NTSC
right
only one. Yes. And
Evo is
you call yourself a fan. It is.
And one of the devs actually did release a way of making your own cars and maps for that recently for 4x4 Evo. It's a little bit intricate to follow, but you can actually
I've seen that.
Actually make your own maps and cars for it.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
And if you do make maps, I will host it on katana.cu for everyone to play online.
Nice.
For the community.
There we go. Look at that. Perfect. Awesome. Now, Ultra 64. What's your favorite new release game for the Dreamcast?
Well, I've got a confession to make. I've not really delved into that world of games yet, but I have purchased the digital version of Xenocider. I've not played it yet, but I'll be honest, the game that got me the most excited was actually playing VVV. I believe our very own Ian was the one behind that. Well, the version I've got, at least.
I'll step in. I was involved in making it faster, but it was actually ported by Kasaba. It's his work. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I just helped. I don't know, with information and with libraries that were lost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no,
I was very good.
Delighted how well it ran, and even seeing the little character on the VMU screen was a nice surprise. So yeah, that was fun.
I gotta say, I really enjoyed playing that. To be fair, I thought it was great. The music in that game is so good.
Yeah,
the music I love about it.
That was one of the problems. It used to be using OGG music, and I went through with him and told to use CDA or CD music triggers, and it's also using DreamHowl and the SDL from Chewy that was lost since about, I think, 2010, and it has almost double the bleeding speed of any SDL that you can get. So that's why it runs so well.
That's
Yeah,
fantastic. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's the way when I put it into there, it chooses the fastest memory routine out of DreamHal for the bleeding, the MemSpy. It chooses the fastest one based on if you're using DMA, then it'll be 32. If you're using this, and so when at compile time, when it blitz, it'll choose the fastest one. So that's what he's using in that, and that's why before that it was running about 20 frames a second, and this also goes to the Titan engine. He's now got up to 60 frames a second on that with a game he's making. I won't tell about it because he hasn't talked about it yet, but the game he's making now has accelerated transparencies. That version of SDL actually allows you to have double buffer accelerated transparencies. So
I bet there's so many projects you know about, Ian, that we'll never know about.
He's a busy guy.
He really is. You know full well.
On Discord just every day.
He's got a lot going on.
It's because, unlike all you guys, I don't have a life and I sit in a dark cave.
This is just a green screen.
Yeah, I have to do something or I'll go completely mad. So pull up the dev thing and start doing C coding and trawl through DC emulation, because there is thousands of devs there that put out little information and no one looked at.
That's so true. So
and
much
also,
lost info.
I got to say that people might have looked at it, but in a context back then, we weren't really pushing the Callistos operating system, and we weren't really pushing the Dreamcast. So their optimizations or ideas really didn't apply at the time, but they apply more now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Mr. Neo 240 will know that down there, like up there, and oh look, I feel like
which way is he? There he is.
Family or something. There down there, Celebrity Squares. But the work he's done with GLDC, the work he's done with GLDC and Uquake is beyond amazing. It would have been thought of as an absolute dream in 2002-3. What he's done there was impossible.
Yeah, well, that's true too. And the first porting attempts for Quake, I think they ran at like 20 frames per second in 320 by 240, and now you have full VGA at 60 frames for a lot of it. So
yeah,
it's better than Titan Studios Quake, and they had a lot of money behind it. So
I think it's the determination that just keeps the whole scene alive, and that's what really inspires me to always play my Dreamcast. And I don't understand half the stuff you guys say, but no, it's really rad, and I really love it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So my next question is, then, talking about Quake, Doom, etc. What's the game you want to see go back online on the Dreamcast? James?
Oh, talk about online gaming. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's got to be F355 Challenge, yeah. Surely, I mean, we can't get another racer online. I mean, there's so many races online at the moment, so I'll probably push that to one side. I'm not going to talk about any of the homebrew games or any ones that are currently in development for online. I'd like to see another first-person shooter to go against Quake 3 Arena, so like Unreal Tournament, because I played Unreal Tournament the other day, and the control setup seems a lot better if you've not got a keyboard and mouse for the Dreamcast. I do have a keyboard and mouse, but for the controller, it just feels better. It feels like a more modern shooter. So yeah, Unreal Tournament, the NTSC version, if they brought that back online, would give Quake 3 Arena a run for its money.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I'd love to see that happen, to be fair. Right, Ian.
Yeah.
Okay, Mark, that's my mind.
Yeah. I probably should have said that when I moved on to you.
Well, since I've never played any Dreamcast game online, I'd have no idea about that at all.
Oh, okay. Okay. So not any that you'd want to see play online.
I would like to see 4-player Pong with a development board. and we can all play a pong with our little faces on it.
That'd be awesome.
well,
Yeah.
Okay, you can write that next weekend.
I absolutely did not expect that. Where did that come from?
You will never know what to expect with me.
Oh,
Ever.
We're learning.
I don't know.
That will be on Dreamcast Talk next week, right?
Scheduled game.
Scheduled game, 4-player Pong.
Must
Well, you gotta
upload
have
head
those
beforehand.
avatar faces. You got to have the faces there, and have a leaderboard. Who's the best at Pong?
Yeah.
With some of us can be
Yeah, yeah.
4-player beer Pong.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you can have a special mode called drinking mode, and everyone who misses
Someone's
one
going to
has
make
take a
a paddle controller as well.
Yeah.
gosh.
I'll play with the train controller. It's like,
Yeah, train. There you
Or the
go.
fishing
I mean,
rod.
I mean, and I'm
Yeah.
talking about
regular
using
controller band has to be some other peripheral.
and the online Pong would look good. It'd be GLDC. It'd have to be. Well, I can't get the fingers right. It'd be down there. It'd have to be using GLDC and maybe the integrity engine.
Yeah, it would. It would be really easy to bang out in integrity. So
See, this
there
the
you-
online part. I'm not sure about.
You heard it here first, folks.
coming soon.
4-player Pong. Right, on to Connor. What do you want to see come back online?
Mine honestly is say Quake World, because 10-player Quake, holy crap. I mean, I haven't played it myself, but I've just been hearing all these stories like, oh, once we get Quake World online, we have 10 players in the game. It's like, what? Huh? I want to see that. Just any game that allows us to play more than 4 players on Dreamcast, I'm impressed with, because I'm a millennial. Like, I'm a late millennial too, so I'm used to these games where you play with 50 people or like just multiple people like at once. So I'm like, when I was playing with Dreamcast, like, oh, it's only 4. Okay, then I see if the overs games where you do like more than 4, like what 8, but 10. It's like. It's like, I want to see that. But yeah, other than that, I think a Speed Devils is one, but basically, Outrigger, definitely Outrigger. Basically any game that is in online right now, I want on. Like virtual on, yes. Outrigger, yes. All those matchmaking fighting games, yes. I want from like Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom, any of them, but definitely Quake World.
I think that's a good
Quake
choice.
World.
I think we'd all like to see that, to be fair, at some point, wouldn't we? Do we not think?
100%.
Yeah. I mean, with the online play, Alien Front Online has 8 players online currently, and that's an awesome game.
It runs flawless.
I was going to say, I've seen you stream that a few times, actually, James. And
Yeah,
this looks like
pretty awesome.
good fun, actually, to be fair. I'll tell you what was good fun, though, was when we did Quake 3 Dreamcast versus PC.
When did we do that?
Well, we
Sounds fun.
recorded that. Ready to be
No, we haven't
released.
done that.
I think it's actually released next week, mate. So if you don't already subscribe, make sure you do, because that will be out next week. So on to Mr. Neo. What game do you want to see go back online?
That's tricky. Probably something not racing. I love racing games, but there's just so many, I feel like, that are racing, and I feel like we could do something else. Outrigger, definitely, for something zany. And other than that, I'm really not too familiar with what other games could be online. Like I know Unreal Tournament, but that apparently has kind of giant, larger issues. It would be cool if someone could revive like the Christmas Seaman service for emails. I mean, that would be fun. We could all send Christmas Seaman emails.
That sounds.
I'm sure we do that anyway, don't we?
But yeah, other than that, I
What's that
don't
in
know.
my inbox?
No, that's fair enough. I mean, I think I'll leave mine till last, actually. Ultra 64. Go on. What's yours?
If I could revive one game, it would probably be Power Stone 2, the Japanese version. I believe you can have 2-player online multiplayer with that game. Again, I'm much in the same league. There's too many racing games now, so it'd be nice to see another fighter. But if I had to pick one more, it'd probably be Daytona USA.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think I'd agree with that. Without a shadow of a doubt, Daytona USA. Oh,
That's the exception I'm willing to make for the racing genre.
I wonder why it is we're
no
seeing
racing
so
games.
many
I love
races.
Daytona USA.
Yeah, I realised I contradicted myself straight away.
I think it's because a lot of those were online to begin with, so you already have a lot of those online. Period. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's also the era too. I mean, you have a lot of racing games in general over time. Need for
Yeah.
Speed. No, Forza wasn't out yet. I'm trying to think of another one. Someone who actually lived through the '90s helped me.
I think it's because
Because
of the
literally, if you only have a retro racer, I can think it was Need for Speed.
well, a lot
Ridge
of the
Racer,
racing,
thank you, Ridge
a lot of the
Racer.
racing games are Ubisoft.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, okay.
Yeah, a lot of the racing games that have been revived are Ubisoft servers.
I did not know that. Well, that explains a lot then. Right. Okay. We got a few comments going on here. So we got one here that says, "Do you believe Grand Theft Auto 3 is possible to be ported onto the Dreamcast? Do we think that could happen? I mean, you got to look at games like Headhunter. Do we not think that could have happened? Anyone? What's anyone think on that?
I think
it could have happened.
Driver.
I think it could have happened, and it was. Yeah. I think Driver 2, not Driver 2, Driver 1. I agree with you. Driver 1.
Driver 1, I feel like could have definitely fit and done well.
Yeah,
But
I think you're right.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it could be ported, but it'd have less going on its screen at once. The streets would be more empty, but it would have been GTA, Dreamcast style. There would have been less things happening at the same time, but I don't believe why that you couldn't do it. I mean, they just ported it to the DS.
What, GTA 3?
It has, GTA 3. It has less going on. It has a lower resolution. I mean, maybe you would have had to put it. I mean, you can stream the data of what you want, and you've got more VRAM than the PS2 has. So you'd have to rearrange the engine to suit it. It wouldn't be the GTA 3 that we all know. It would be different, but they could have done it. I mean, some of it you can see in Crazy Taxi.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to talk about. Yeah. Like Crazy Taxi, driving through, doing that, loading in. You wouldn't have as much going on, like, you know, people walking around in cars, but you could have done it. The main problem is how much geometry and how much you're going to have at the same time. You could have had, you know, a little bit cut down, but I don't think that with streaming the data like they did on some of the other games, that you couldn't have streamed the data and used that instead of system RAM. But I mean, you're talking about rewriting the engine and suiting it to the Dreamcast, and it would be of lesser sort of polygons, less of sort of this, but it could have been done. I mean, if you have a look at the games that they ported down to the Wii, that's the type of thing I'm talking about. When you seen them come out in the 360 and you got the Wii version, that could have been done on the Dreamcast. I mean, you would have had. I mean, this sort of thing used to happen back in the 80s with you'd go from the Amiga to the Atari ST and then to the Commodore 64 and to the Spectrum.
Yeah, like Godfather Scarface.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's on the 3DS. Now, the 3DS shows that it's kind of possible to me, because if you look at the specs of the 3DS, I mean, this is the type of thing I was talking about.
I mean, what we're seeing right now is... Sorry, go on.
Does that not just look like it looks like seeing Crazy Taxi. I think it's definitely doable.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, there's not really that much detail. There's like 3 cars on the road, a couple really low poly pedestrians. I mean, there's nothing there out of the realm. Maybe the reflections would have to be different or faked or just not there, but seems doable.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the opinion. Yeah, it's definitely doable. I feel like we'd have to cut a lot down. I mean, in my opinion, there are a lot of like games from that era that can be ported to a Dreamcast. I'm crazy to think that if someone really wanted to, they could port Sonic Heroes to the Dreamcast. They have to cut it down, but it'd be possible. But this proves that something like a game as massive as Grand Theft Auto 3 can be ported to a system like the Dreamcast.
Yeah,
so
totally agree.
I think you just need to I think someone needs to be willing to put the work in. Now, I think realistically, if the only way to be ported to Dreamcast is if we get a whole bunch of devs who really, really want to do it. I mean, but with this demo, is this full game or just a demo?
Well, I think what we're seeing here, I'm not really sure, to be fair. This is just on some. It doesn't really go into much detail. I don't know, is the honest opinion. I've literally just looked it up because you've just mentioned it. But I mean, that looks pretty full, doesn't it? To be fair, although he's not really going into any missions, etc. But I mean, that could easily be built upon. So yeah, I don't know, but you've got to think there's enough devs out there who would want to work together to make that happen, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think if at this point there definitely are. One thing's definitely for sure, it's going to definitely have to be a multi-disc game. I mean, for what I recall, Grand Theft Auto 3 is just as expansive, if not more expansive, than Shenmue, and that have 4 discs on it. So it's definitely going to have to be. Oh gosh, okay. I'm just looking at that weird face, like, oh gosh. Can the Dreamcast be better texture mask mapping than that? I hope so.
Looked like a PlayStation 1 game there.
Yeah. But I just saw Rage Snake say it will never happen. I don't think we should be that pessimistic. I think, is it likely to happen? I'm not entirely sure. Will it never happen? I don't think so. I think there's a possibility that it can happen. We just need to get just enough devs together to do it. And that's another thing. It is a legal nightmare for any devs. I feel like we could create a game that's like Grand Theft Auto 3, but we couldn't call it Grand Theft Auto 3. So,
but I think
like
how most of them
like
do
crafting.
it is, or like same thing with New Quake. The New Quake builds that are released, I just include the shareware version, and give you the binary. So if you want to put the full game and the soundtrack and all that, you can, but I'm not the one distributing that. So I think it would probably be much the same for like a Grand Theft Auto 3 driver situation.
but I feel like with Grand Theft Auto 3 and even Driver, you'd have to build the game back up from the ground up. This isn't like Super Mario 64 where you could just basically port the game onto anything, or even Doom or Quake or whatever. Just port the game and use that base engine. We talking about like a complete engine overhaul, from what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, it could be done with like an extractor rebuilder tool. You supply your Grand Theft Auto 3 disc, run this tool for 30 minutes, and then you get the Dreamcast ready files. There's stuff. People will just pirate it anyway in the end, but you just have to come up with it. You have to come up with a legal solution and put it out like that.
Yeah, but my final thoughts are: I think if it were to be done, I feel like it would very much be a just a big demake of it rather than just an extractor. But who knows? It could be. I'm just a voice actor. I don't code. I tried coding. I looked at it. It's scary. I was like, I need pictures. Where are the pictures? but well, Driver 2 source code was recreated recently for PC version, way more viable for port to the system. For what I've seen of the Driver, I feel like it's I've been taking up some people's time. I just like to talk, so someone else take over.
I don't like to talk, so
yeah, I prefer to listen.
Did you say you're a voice actor?
Yeah.
No way. What? So what? Tell us, what have you been in or been on?
Well, recently I can't say what it has been for my most recent credit, but I'd recently recorded a commercial, my first one. So if you live in my area, like in Virginia area, you might hear it on the radio. But other than that, I have voiced Billy Cranston in the Power Rangers audio drama Triceratops. And with that voice brings to another voice I use a lot. I voice Sonic the Hedgehog in various projects. Some that are attached to my name, some I use a pseudonym for. Unfortunately, you reveal the pseudonym I use, Gokai Blue. but yeah, I do a lot of that stuff. I also voice Rasco in the Peace Guild.
I did not
so
realize.
Yeah, I do a lot of stuff. And I have 2 audiobooks on Audible right now on how to get promotion when your boss trying to kill you, and 6-pack duration, the 6-pack series book 2. So I do a lot of stuff. I would love to voice act in any of your Dreamcast games. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, devs.
I'll remember that.
I was going to say, if that isn't an advertisement for yourself, I don't know what is.
Do you want me to just play my demo?
Can if you want.
just look up Connor Terrell voice character reel.
I might do that in a minute, to be fair. Right, okay. Have we got any more comments on here? Let's have a look. So, someone's saying, what's the max GDI size on the GDMU? Because I don't know the answer to that, to be fair.
Mad
Isn't it? Let's have a look what I got here. I've only got 128 gigabytes on this one. That's how I use mine.
Do you
get a spare?
Do they mean like the
slot?
size of
Do they mean the actual like disk dump? Because I think those are fixed size.
I'm wondering if he means actually on when using it on the GDMU. Because is there a size limit on when using it?
From what I guess Ian died.
Ian seems to have disappeared at the moment.
From talking with Ian, what I remember is that if you make like a CDI or an MDF dump, you can go up to 2 gigabytes. Because he did some movies and things with experiments with that. But I think GDIs are pretty fixed in terms of their size due to just basically like hardware protection and software protection that the Dreamcast has. I don't think you can make a larger one than that ever existed.
No, I don't think so.
Right. So we've got what we've got here. Well, Driver 2 source code was recreated recently for the PC, and I think that the version is way more viable for a port to the system. Do we agree with that? I mean, obviously we've seen a Bleem. Bleem's not great, but
yeah, I watched that video.
Yeah, terrible Bleem, right? Really wasn't great. I mean, you could see elements of it working okay, but
I mean, it could be a similar situation. Like the N64 emulator can go into Banjo-Kazooie at literally 1 or 2 frames a second, but my N64 Super Mario port is decently playable, especially if you turn off sound. So I mean, you know, if it's ported directly, I think that opens a lot more possibility.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Right, so let's get one of the lined up questions here, and it is... I'm trying to think, which one should we go for? What's the rarest Dreamcast item you own? Let's start with James.
Oh my god, let me just go start grabbing stuff.
Let's have a look then. Rarest. So I've got the American box broadband adapter. I've got a Power Dreamcast mini kiosk. So not the one with the Dreamcast light at the top. I've got an actual one, which is the mini version. I've not seen those sold anywhere. So I'm just gonna go through say 5, just because I can. I don't know actually. Now I forgot. Got so much stuff I've not actually seen since lockdown because it's not currently where I am. Oh yeah, I've got my name put in the House of the Dead 2 on the Sega Dreamcast.
Did you?
Because I messaged Sega when the original House of the Dead came out, and I said to them, I wrote to them, you know, back when before mobile phones and all that sort of stuff, and said, I love your House of the Dead game so much. Can I be a playable character if you guys do a sequel? And I said my name's James, and I got a letter back from Sega saying it could happen. And then I did have it on earlier, House of Dead 2, and one of the characters is called James. So I've got a letter from Sega saying it could happen about my House of Dead 2. So that's probably my 3 Dreamcast rare things. A letter from Sega, a kiosk, and the American broadband adapter boxed.
Do you have a screen grab of that actual from House of the Dead too?
What you mean, the letter?
Yeah, sorry, the letter. Yeah, do you have that? Like a
I've got it
scan
in
or something.
No, the thing is, I've got it in a cellophane sealed thing. But obviously, I'm not going to put it on the internet because unless I watermark the crap out of it, because people just take it as their own. So unless I've just got it laid on myself, no, I don't know how I'm going to do it unless because I don't like sharing stuff like that because people will probably just say it's their own. So I don't know. Maybe one day I'll just I'll upload it somewhere, and if I can watermark it, then I will.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've seen your kiosk, and I pretty in love with that thing. I got to be quite honest with you.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you a story about the kiosk while we're here. So basically, before the Dreamcast was launched, a shop called Debenhams, which is a I don't know how you can call it. What is it? Anyway, a big supermarket store, not a supermarket, a big superstore, kind of like Harrods. And basically, there was an electronics boutique, which is EB Games, and they had a Dreamcast kiosk, and over there, over somewhere else, was loads of arcade machines. So I played Ready to Rumble Boxing on the kiosk, and then when the shop shut down, I went back to the very shop, and they were selling off all their shelves, kiosks, TVs, and I bought the very kiosk that I played the Dreamcast on for the very first time with Ready to Rumble. I bought the kiosk from them. So the very first time I saw the Dreamcast and played it, I bought the very thing that I played it on. So yeah, pretty cool.
Man, when we can start visiting each other again.
Yeah, you won't be invited, my friend. You won't.
Oh, I won't be invited.
Of course you will. Of course you will.
Well, screwed a lot of you then. Okay, Connor, what's your rarest Dreamcast item you own, if you have any?
This just with broadband adapter. That's my personal rarest Dreamcast item.
Nice.
Well, that and the
nice.
And that and the mic. I've not seen this on for sale often.
Yeah.
So I guess it's kind of sort of rare, but those are the two. And stock things now. If we're talking like rare custom things. Obviously the BRBA that a mechanic made for me. So I won't ever like it.
I mean, to be fair, I don't really have anything rare for Dreamcast. The only rare thing I've got is not Dreamcast related, so I won't show it off. James knows what it is, but anyway. So, Mr. Neo, what is your rarest item you own, or items?
I grabbed some small stuff. We'll start. Okay. This is one I think is a good one. This is my framed DD Planet store advertisement, which is a pretty interesting game that sadly never came out. And I was able to actually find this in brand new condition, and so
that's awesome.
I got that framed. Another one, Dream Key India, which is kind of neat. It's only for use in India and only works on Indian Dreamcasts, which is a whole rabbit hole. A dealer sample of Sega Gaga first edition DVD style, sealed, brand new. So that's
nice.
Pretty rare, I think. And then a pretty much mostly complete mill CD collection. I'm just missing one at this point, but I have all 7 others.
What is that?
All the mill CDs that Sega put out. We got the Space Channel 5 one, obviously, and
that's awesome.
There's a D2 one. Yeah, most of them are not very interesting, but they're all here. Most of them were new or sealed. Like this one's still pretty new. It's good stuff.
That's awesome.
Cool. Yeah,
awesome. Right, Ian. Unless you've got any more, Mr. Neo, before I move on.
I mean, I got my newest rarest item that I just picked up was a dealer sample unopened karaoke unit direct from Sega, which is pretty neat.
Wow,
nice.
And it came with a letter saying, this is on loan to you through Sega, blah blah blah, and it was completely new when I got it, so that was kind of exciting.
That's awesome. That really is awesome.
Yeah. Just a whole too much stuff. Too much. I'm trying to sell all of it. It's
trying to sell it all.
What do you do with all of it? I don't
Yeah, I guess I get that. To be fair, we all do have a bit of a hoarding habit, let's say, but
yeah.
Yes.
you know, it's still cool to have it all.
It's-
Ian, sorry, go on, Mr. Nick.
No, it's fun to find all this stuff. Like I got a train controller and BBAs, multiple microphones, fishing controller, just whatever, all of it.
Still awesome. Still awesome. Right, Ian, what's your rarest Dreamcast item?
This is the rarest Dreamcast. This is something I found in a trash can.
Nice.
And someone painted it like that and put that sticker on it. And look, the bottom is just spray painted, and the lid doesn't even open all the way.
Whoa.
And it's got a little bat on the front. I mean, can you beat that? A trash picked.
Who
And it
does
still
that?
works. I use this for all my dev. It still works. Would you believe it? And it was in the rain. And see, the lid doesn't open. It's stuck in there. Probably some sort of garbage is still in there. I've never opened it up. So, yeah, and it's been working now the last 3 years. And look, they even sprayed painted the ports.
Unbelievable.
Right in there.
It's just like Walmart paint or something. And I've left it in its trash pick condition. So there you go.
That's
Awesome.
that is crazy.
Yeah, and the other thing would be the Orange Dream Master. Yeah, that's my,
I
my
remember that
favorite
one.
controller. The Orange Dream Master. Yeah, and it even has the it has the where you put the cord is there instead of on the other way, the way the other ones are. So the cord sticks in there. But yeah, it has a lovely analog stick. It gets stuck in one spot all the time. Over here, so you turn Dreamcast on, or like when you get into Radquake, you're going round in a circle, and you have to actually unplug it and plug it back in.
That's
So,
crazy.
Yeah, that's what I got. I got a blue VMU I found in the trash can at the same time. It still works.
How do you find this stuff? What neighborhood are you in? that
What
has all of this
trash
stuff?
cans?
I'm in quite a people around here might be watching. So I'm in a great neighborhood. Fantastic. Where if people are so rich, they throw out this stuff. So yeah,
God.
there you go. That's my. I shouldn't forget. This I found in a Walmart car park 2 years ago. Just on the ground.
What?
Yeah. What? Look at it.
How
It
do you?
was just sitting on the gravel, and I went, "That's a Dreamcast game." Yeah, it was. Well, there you go.
Someone just put a Dreamcast game on the pavement?
In the just in the car park on the ground. It's like they thought, "Oh, it must be a music CD. I'll throw it out the window." I don't know. There it was. Still works.
It never happens to anyone else.
It still works. I also have a Coders cable, but that's not that rare. Well, it could be rare, because it's one of the new ones that was built, and it's very good, but pricey.
That's
I heard those are really sharp, really nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's USB. The old one I had was bits of wire with a piece of sellotape wrapped around it that plugged into your serial port. That's the one I had in like 2004.
Well, at least it works.
Well, it worked. You had to jiggle it sometimes.
Bloody hell. Right. Next question here is, how has the Dreamcast community changed over the years? And this is a general question to everyone. We can all answer at any point.
It's got bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
I'd
you're right.
say it's just got bigger.
Yeah.
Well, you would think that, but it was actually bigger in around 2004. If you have a look at all the forums, there was more than at one stage. I think there was 5,000-6,000 people online at once.
Yeah.
Like on
Yeah.
the website and on DC Talk, same thing. So it has got more diverse, I would say. The people back then, they were just on the next console that was cheap, so they were buying it, but they didn't really have any care or love for it. But the people we have now are dedicated people that actually love the system. So we got rid of sorted the wheat from the chaff, as they say.
Yeah.
I
mean-
think the biggest thing that's changed the added to the diversity of the Dreamcast scene is emulation. Like I have a couple of friends in the voice acting community who are a bit younger than myself and don't know what the heck a Dreamcast is, so I introduced them to it, and some of them I've actually bought Dreamcast for, but most of them I say, oh, give them Flycast, and they can play online, which when I was a kid, that was unheard of. I mean, yeah, I played on emulated Dreamcast, but it was unheard of for me to play online with real Dreamcast players just on my phone. So it's just unheard of. And I feel like that has helped expand in some way the online scene for Dreamcast. I think it's piqued some people's interest a little bit, at least from what I've seen. But I feel like that is one thing that's helped with the diversity. But yeah, I definitely agree. The Dreamcast community has become more diverse, and I feel like it has caught up with the times as well. It's funny when it's someone like a near over 20-year-old console is keeping up with the times. It's kind of odd to say that, but it has all the all the old IRC communities that have transferred Discord, and I feel that's become a big hub for like Dreamcast discussion nowadays. I feel like it's just become one of those online communities again, just one of those bigger online communities. It doesn't feel like odd now that you're playing online with Dreamcast. It's like, oh, just playing online video games. It doesn't matter if the games are 20 years old, whatever. Just playing online again. I feel like it's getting to a point where you can just get on and someone's online.
Yeah, I think you're right. To be fair,
true.
Yeah. I mean, do we think like the Dreamcast is actually a good jumping on point for developing?
I personally do. I've kind of mentioned that very thought to a lot of people, just because like you get a controller, you get easy input, it's really easy to get some video stuff going. There's not much RAM, you don't have an OS to deal with, you just kind of, you're in like a little bubble. So I think it is good for kind of beginner people.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It is as well, and it teaches you to work within a limit. So when you learn to work within that limit, when you go to something else, it feels like it's absolutely ginormous or huge, or you've got unlimited potential. So it kind of focuses your mind on making things smaller, every bit of code smaller, and that's a challenge, and that keeps it fun. Because if it was just, say, the Dreamcast had a 1 gigahertz processor, I don't think any of us here developers would be using it.
Well, purely because of processing power?
Well, because the draw of the attention was always, well, for me anyway, was that you're producing it on a console with a limited potential, and you can show people your skill or whatever you want to do more because you have such limited resources. If you look at the PS2 homebrew scene, the Xbox homebrew scene, it had a flush and then it's gone because those people move to the next most powerful machine. They just keep moving the goalpost. But with the Dreamcast, you have a set goal, and you have to make whatever you can imagine has to fit into that limit. So that teaches you very well on how to manage your coding style.
Yeah, Mr. Neo, do you want to comment on what is written there?
I was just reading that. Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, so this kind of goes in part with what I showed with the 7 mil CDs that I have, and then kind of just the disinformation really throughout the years about what those discs are, what they can do, how that enabled piracy and all that. But basically, like the Sega intended mil CDs are 2 parts. They're a regular music CD that can play in anything that can play a music CD, but if you throw it in a Dreamcast, you get a fancy little menu that can play some videos, and it has a web browser that's free to use for certain days of the week for certain area codes in Japan, which is very strange. But so with that and kind of reverse engineering those and creating some kind of special one-off tools to recreate those, I released I think it's just one movie now, one full-length movie. It's I don't even remember what movie. It's a black and white movie, a really good one. it's a comedy, and it's really, yeah, you can make really high quality movie discs, and they should play just about anywhere. And then there was one game, I'm not going to spoil which one it is, but there is one commercial Dreamcast game that isn't really a game. It's just a fancy mil CD player that works from a GD-ROM. So after finding that out and kind of working some more on that and making another little tool, now also we can make mil CD GDIs for GDEMU and such, which is kind of nice because you skip the Sega logo screen and all that, and you can fit a little bit more data. So I think that's kind of another cool project, because I know there's been some SFD players that are pretty bad. The SVCD or VCD players, and I think that's pretty cool. But having a native kind of Dreamcast player with a nice menu, and depending on how you do it, like I made a chapter system for it, like a traditional DVD. I think it'll be fun to make some more discs and kind of either encourage people to make those or encourage the tier above Ian and myself, the indie developers who publish and make actual money doing this, to get them to kind of make some discs, just like bonus discs, like behind the scenes, or that can kind of use that format as just to show off some more either music, behind the scenes interviews, or in progress videos that would go along with their releases.
Yeah, that'd be a really good idea. Ian, didn't you show movies playing on the Dreamcast?
Yes, that's a different thing. That's a homebrew project that I took on from Phenom or Josh Pearson, and it has a number of problems on real hardware. On a Dreamcast Eliminator, it plays perfect. I don't know. Just recently, Cassard solved a big problem in VRAM wastage, and I can now have almost native Dreamcast resolution videos playing on it. But sound is always a problem on Dreamcast, and the sound is slower than the video. And I don't have a way of really making it sync. I can try, but then it just starts repeating. And I think I just don't know how to fix that. And when you play it, for example, if you play the same Dreamcast Media Center on DMU or an old DC, it's 100% perfect, never gets out of sync. As soon as you put it on hardware, about 2 minutes in, it's out of sync. And it gets worse as it goes. But it does that divide there is hardware versus the Eliminator. So and it's a massive project. I mean, it has XVID, it has MPEG-2, it has FLAC, it has M4PA, it has Apple Music, it has Waves, it has SFD, it has almost every format it can play. And all the audio formats play perfect, including FLAC, high bit rate, everything like that. So the last bit is the video, but I don't see how I'm going to fix it when the mixing is being done on the CPU.
Right. Yeah.
It stalls everything, and that's I mean, it's a little bit above my pay grade for now.
for now.
Well, I mean, we all get better. I mean, a couple of months ago, I wouldn't have thought I could do this or that or this or that, and suddenly it clicks in your head. I mean, it can happen.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a question to both you and Mr. Neo. I mean, what are you don't have to say, but I mean, what are you working on at the moment that could be something that people don't actually know about at the moment? Is there anything?
Well, for Dreamcast, kind of as I'm about to have a lot more free time, just for graduating uni, like 2 weeks or something, really soon. But definitely working more on Integrity Engine and getting Sound, which is my cross-platform game engine that runs all my kind of prototypes and experiments for Dreamcast and PSP. Definitely still always working on Quake. Probably that project will never end. And then I want to get back to writing Open Menu, which is and open source kind of community written, freely kind of themable, customizable front end for GDEMU. Because I think NeuroAcid's GD menu is great, but it's just like boring as hell to look at a list. I think we can do so much better. So that project has kind of been stalled for 2 years, and I don't know, just keep putting it off. But at the moment, it can launch pretty much anything, and it is even a worse list because you only get to see one item at a time. But the possibility is there for a bunch of other stuff. So that project, you keep seeing me look away. I'm actually working. I have, I can't show you what it is, but I just acquired a.
Oh, wrong one. There we go. Sorry about that.
It's a Sony internal UMD from before they launched the PSP. They were testing some functionality, and it was supposed to be destroyed in 2004, but an engineer pocketed it, and it just showed up on my doorstep today. So we're kind of looking at that, dumping that, and trying to get that running and such. Yeah, always something. Always something. And then also, Ian and I are going to work on this Pong game apparently. So gotta do that.
It's totally going to happen. I can see it already. As much as you joke about it at the moment, it's going to happen.
And I'll voice with my paddles. I'm like to listen for paddle 1. Beep, 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 boop, beep, bah.
Yeah, see, it's perfect.
Wow.
I just want to talk about Mr. Neo 240 there. He made this lovely demo with dancing palm trees that goes to the music. I think some of that could be put in the Pong.
Oh yeah,
Dancing palm trees.
They have a Ferrari. Oh, well, it looks like a Ferrari to me, like a car. That was one of the best demos I've seen. I really loved it, and it has a great music track too.
That was actually a one-night demo in my game engine that I made. That just kind of goes to show how quickly you can make stuff. Can I even share my screen? Like, can I?
Yeah,
you can. Yeah, you can. I think you've got to change the webcam screen.
You can, but
the video
don't do it. Oh, there's a lot of stuff on my screen right now. Okay, let's hide most of this. Share screen. It's easier with 2 monitors.
That's it.
I have 2 monitors. I unplugged it, but well, it's like I had to move my desk to make it look like I live in a normal house.
Yeah. Talk one guy of this Beatles tribute band called Fab Four may thought I lived in a tent because of all the sheets back here.
I think you can see that.
Yep, there it is.
I don't know if you're going to get audio, but
probably. Yeah, I don't know if it will send the audio.
Well, it did not seem happy with that. Let me just open it again. Sorry.
Yeah, there's no audio, but we can still see it.
That's fine. I don't know how to change that, so.
Yeah.
Get him, Tiger. That's awesome.
So it reacts to the music.
Yeah, the beats of the music. If you see it like that, that's the impact of it to me. We need sound.
Get him, Tiger.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's awesome though.
Yeah.
Impressive.
So
you did that in one night.
Yeah, well, yeah, in my game engine, which took like a year to write, but yes.
Wow, that's awesome. Ian,
yeah,
what have you got going on at the moment?
Well,
I'm gonna stop that.
It's way too many projects, and what I'm doing most of the time is updating whatever I've done before, and Hexen is the main one at the moment. Getting that to actually run a bit better, getting the CD music to work, because before it only had no music. Also, I've got many projects to do and not enough time, even though I've got too much time. because most of the projects just take hours and hours of profiling, because most of the projects I'm doing, I'm only trying to get the last 10% out of. And so they become very frustrating. So I just move from one to the other so that I don't burn out. So I'm not going to say what I'm working on until it works, is my answer, because I don't want to say something and then I can't get it to work on hardware.
Right. I was going to say, to be fair, I've played your Hexen release, and to be fair, because here it is, this is it playing here, and it runs great, runs absolutely great. It looks great, and it's just yeah, it's a really, really good, because it's in alpha stage, isn't it, at the moment?
Yes. This is when I first got it to run on hardware, because from the outset it had unlined memory reads, and I had to redo a whole bunch of things in the code. And I actually thought at one stage, oh yeah, the button's a little buggy there. You have to press start and move forward. But anyway, so to get through the door, you have to press start and move forward. But it was a massive task to get that thing to run on hardware, because all the way the memory on the eliminators, it worked perfect. It actually put me into a depression and for a month, because I had it working perfect with CD music. I'd written the controls, I'd done everything, and I got the VMU saving compressed, and then I had to start from a completely different source space and look for all the memory routines that were just not matching up. And so that was Kazad helped with that. He's told me, oh, it might be unaligned memory reads. And then Mr. Neo 240, oh, he's up there this time. He told me about address to line. Without address to line, I would have never found all the problems. So it was something I'd never used before. I don't know how anyone can do anything without using it, but it does give you an idea of what's crashing. But I'd never used it. I'd never used it up until a month ago. And you know, when it used to come up on the coders cable, blah, 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 you know, crash. I go, okay, well, I guess I'll move on to the next thing now. I thought it was the magic box of symbols that no one could get through. But with address line, it'll actually give you a line, but it mightn't actually be the thing causing the crash, but it'll give you an idea of what's going on, or the last thing. So Hexen there, Bureau ported it way back. He never released the source code to it at all. And it used to crash after you played a little tiny bit of it. I mean, it would just bug out and crash. But almost everything Bureau did does that. It crashed at one stage somewhere. It looks great, runs great, and then crash. So I wanted to make Hexen in the same mold as Radquake. So I have the Saturn full motion video intro, which has a little repeat problem at the start. Again, that's sound. But I wanted to make it feel like you're playing the Saturn version on the Dreamcast, but now with better colors and actual better frame rate, because the Saturn one only runs at about 15 frames a second. And that was a retail product. And I liked it on the Saturn, but I went back and played it on the Saturn, and I went, what is this? So half the colors are toned down, the draw distance is toned down, and it's very slow. So my project is really Hexen, then Heretic 2. But when they work, I'll put them up.
Do you think you'll ever work on Duke Nukem 3D?
That is a nightmare mess of a rabbit hole that Hero put out. I don't even know some of that code in there. Some of that code in there belongs on Mars. He has got pieces of SH4 ASM taken from an SH4.5 thing and an SH3 thing, and he's got just, it doesn't compile. I mean, I think I spent like 3 weeks on it once, and I got it to build, and of course you put it on the Dreamcast, it's just black screen. I was like, well, forget it, throw it in the bin. In the bin.
So in a similar vein, not that I don't think Ian is either, but not saying anything bad about Barrow. He did a bunch of work, but
he did great work.
Reading that work is impossible now, and you can't run any of it. So a secret is that New Quake started out as fixing and redoing Barrow's original GL Quake port, which like within like a week or two just became untenable. It was just impossible. Like couldn't read what he'd done. It didn't make sense why things are done. And so on my laptop still, the new Quake folder that all the code is in that I work in is called clean_newquake because it was just starting over from id Software's original Windows port because it was just I couldn't work on Barrow's code.
No,
which is a neat
it's
tidbit.
untenable. It's untenable. I'm not joking. I mean, the things he did, he modified bits of Linux or Linux or whatever you want to do. He didn't port things to Callistos. He ported file systems of Linux to it and then eliminated them into who knows.
Yeah,
but it
it's
worked.
very strange.
It's very strange. I can tell you, it's alien type code. It's a rabbit hole of disaster. It'll make your mind have sparks coming out.
Make your mind have sparks coming out.
He was a great coder. The things he did with the limited tool set that he had then was quite amazing. I mean, you're talking 2002, and Callistos is barely out of Redream, so there was no new lib, there was no this. He was like making bits and patches and throwing it out here and there and making it work. But when you try and put his stuff now into the future, well, it's easier to start from the beginning.
It's impossible, yeah. I completely agree.
Well, what I'm going to move on to next is obviously Beats of Rage. We all know Beats of Rage, and we know how well most of them play, apart from James. Most of you guys have probably seen them. So the question is, what's your favourite Beats of Rage game so far? I mean, mine, if I had to be honest, is... Got a couple. It's probably the Golden Axe remake one. Or Ian's AVP, what was it? Aftermath? Was it Aftermath?
Yeah, I took that. That was a demo that someone only had 2 levels, and I turned it into a game. Because after the second level, it used to just go, and you couldn't move any further. So I thought, well, it's a good concept. I'll turn it into an actual 5-level game with some bosses and stuff, and make it actually run properly and not run out of RAM after the second stage. So that's what that is. I mean, it was someone put out a demo of 2 levels, and I just turned it into a game. I think mostly because you said you liked it at one stage.
You did it just for me.
I think so. I mean, I remember you saying, "Oh, can I try this? Can I?" And I said, "Well, you can try it, but it's only got 2 levels and it's not even worth burning." So I thought, I might as well make this thing something that takes more than 10 minutes to finish.
Well, I appreciate that.
But
what service?
the Dreambore engine 6.7 is just the original executable, or if you want to say L4 bin, was 1.9 megabyte. Dreambore 6.7 now is only 1 megabyte. So there's 800K of optimization. So that's why the things are running the way they do now. I mean,
Right.
Smaller code is better. Smaller code is better on the Dreamcast. If you follow that, you'll get some improvement. It depends on where the bottleneck is. But with this, it's running, like I've said before, it's running Chewie's SDL that is upported to Kosh 2.0. And it also has DreamHow from Moop the Hedgehog. So the MemSpy, all those routines, MemSet, MemMove, everything are directly compiled into Dreambore 6.7. So it runs extremely fast. I mean, it runs about 60 frames a second on most of these games. You won't see it on this stream, but if you've seen it on the real Dreamcast, it is zippy. It's really zippy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What about you, James? Oh, sorry. Go on. You sorry.
The other one I did lately was Hyper Final Fight 3. That was a massive undertaking. I almost was going to quit after doing that one, because you had to hand swap all the colors in every file, 1,360 something files, one click at a time. And it's not coders work. It's not coders work. It's donkey work. It's like real sitting there, click, swap palette, import, click, swap palette, import, click. And you miss one of them. And there's this big sprite on the screen, with not transparent, looking at you, going in the wrong colors. So then after you swap all the files, you have to play the damn thing like over and over and over and over and over. I got the sick of the sight of all of them. I would sit there and play it as 50 minutes through. Okay, right at the end on the last stage, there's a bit of the background that's purple. Okay, well, start again, make a new thing, start again. Oh, okay, so and you have to make sure that it's within the RAM limit, because people put out these games and they see it load the first level, but this is a streaming sort of format on open board. It doesn't matter if the first level loads. Each level adds to the sprite catch. The sprite catch never releases. It doesn't release on the PC version either. So the sprites have to be there all the time just in case they're triggered. Once on compile time, once the script is compiled, they're locked. So people don't seem to understand that about open bore. That's just the way the engine's made. You can deattach levels, but you can't deattach the sprites or the main objects. They have to be in the script all the time, or the game will crash.
Right.
Anyway,
James.
go on too much about
it. No, that's absolutely fine. You can tell you're passionate about it,
Well, when I started with it, it was actually Ivan on DC Talk said, Ian, can you have a look at this? Because every open bore game I run crashes on the third level. I said, well, I'll have a look. I said, it's because they run out of RAM. He said, how do you know? I said, well, I fixed it now that it runs on null DC. It used to not run on null DC, by the way, so you couldn't actually see. I have debug on it, so if you put it on null DC, you'll see it loading, and it'll show the files. If it misses a file or it runs out of RAM, it'll tell you by how much, and then you have to go into the game and optimize it. So you have to find, it's right there. Anyone can take it, make their own game, and optimize it, use null DC, and make a game run. But like I said, it takes donkey work. You have to sit there and you have to choose a color palette that still looks like the palette, but because you don't need 16 million shades of gray or something like that. You got to optimize it so the palette looks like the game but is not using all those colors, because anytime this is software rendering, so anytime you're rendering all those colors and converting them and stuff from GIF files, it's going to slow down. You're going to run out of memory. So you have to optimize the files yourself, not the Dreamcast. So it's all on the other side of work. But a lot of the open bore games, the PC games, will not run properly on the Dreamcast. They will run out of RAM. They will load up, but they will be not a very nice experience. And so it takes you sitting down and taking 3 weeks and optimizing each one. And like I said on the forum, I'm not going to do a lot of them. I've shown the example. If you really want it done, you can sit there and do it yourself. The engine's there, the tools are there. You can do it.
Yeah.
I put out a few every now and then that I really like the Splatterhouse I just did. That was one I really liked because it has multiple layers. And it has rain, it has background effects, it has everything like that. And I had to tone down the scripts inside the engine so they didn't spam the frame buffer, so I could still have the effects and still run at that speed. And that was just, that again, that's on the side of the actual game, the PC side. But that one is a favorite of mine that I did. That's why I spent the time on it. But I'm not going to be, like Ripfire and ripping them out every couple of weeks. And he does great work. I'm telling you, I don't know how he sits down there and does that, because like I just said, what I'm doing is what he does. He goes through all that. That's why he gets so protective about them, because he sat there and went through 1,400 files, click, 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 click. But no, I'm not going to do a lot of those. The engine's there. I've updated the engine that it has the speed. If you follow the example, you can make you can open bore or dream bore. You can make platform games with it. You can make shoot 'em ups with it. You can make all sorts of things with it. But it takes you knowing how to do open bore scripting. Okay, I've taken enough time on Dream Bore 6.7. Oh, I did make it load quicker. It only takes 40 seconds to load off a CDR instead of, if you try the old ones, they'll sit there for 5 minutes slamming your GD-ROM drive. If you've ever burnt one, that's what they do. They take up to 4 to 5 minutes. Well, I got rid of that problem. So that was a major issue. When I first put the version out, I didn't have a Dreamcast. I hadn't found that one in the trash yet. So I was doing it on the eliminators. It's true. I was doing it on the eliminators. And then when I finally got a Dreamcast and burned that, I was horrified because it was, what it was doing is it was unpacking the 1,300 files into memory, right? Reading them one by one off the disk.
Wow.
One by one, 8 at a time, one by one. And then it would GD-ROM block itself because someone put loading music while it was loading. And so you'd never load the game. That's the ones that stayed black screen because they're trying to load music and load the files at the same time.
Gosh.
Anyway,
Right.
enough said. I'm getting dry.
And see, that just goes to show too why, like, you would think porting something might be easy, and then you realize it's like, oh, I can't read files and play music because just neither will work. And so things like that kind of, take time or have to rethink and really kind of work around.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, fans like myself, we want certain games to come to the Dreamcast, but we actually don't really know the complexities of actually how to do it. So there's always a wish list, but obviously can't always happen because it's obviously not always possible. But Connor, or Gokai Blue, I should say, what about yourself? Have you played any Beats of Rage games?
I can't remember. I might have played a Dragon Ball one, or might have intended to burn a Dragon Ball one. But if I had to choose one of Beats of Rage games that I actually would like to play, it'd be the Dragon Ball one because I'm a Dragon Ball fan.
Oh,
And the Dreamcast didn't have a good Dragon Ball game. Period. I think it's because of the era, but they should have. I feel like it'd been good marketing. Like, it was a crappy game, but put Ultimate Battle 22 on Dreamcast. Don't put it on PlayStation. Give it to us. But we don't care if it's crap. At least be an official Dragon Ball game.
Totally. Yeah, no, I totally agree.
But yeah, that'd be the Beats of Rage game that I like to play. But again, a lot of from what I've seen of Beats of Rage games, they don't have exactly the polish of other games from what I've seen. Yeah. Maybe because last time I seen a Beats of Rage game was when the ISO zone was up, so maybe they've improved since then. But but the last time I saw a Beats of Rage game, it was very much like something I make in Game Maker.
Yeah, well, that's the last couple I put out are very polished. They're not like that at all.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think we are starting to see more polished versions.
The reason why that polish takes weeks of work.
Absolutely.
And so that's why you didn't see it. You've seen they made it on PC, or sometimes they just ripped the PC version and shoved it on the Dreamcast and said, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Sounds lazy to me, though.
Well, but that's how it was, though.
Well, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. James, what about yourself? But you already said you've not played any of them.
No. Same as other guys here as well. I didn't really delve into much of the emulation scene, so the ISO zone and the CD romance and all that sort of stuff. I've never really looked into that sort of stuff. And Beats of Rage, when I saw them, I just thought, like, what is this? Because some of the early ones were awful, and I was like, it's another scrolling beat 'em up game, just using a different set of character models. It's like, come on, is it just going to be the same? And then I just thought, I'm not downloading that. I'll download something else. So because it went back in the day when I used to go to like car boot sales and flea markets and that sort of stuff, when they used to sell Dreamcast games with faded covers. You'd see like Aliens versus something or other on the Dreamcast, Aliens versus South Park or whatever. It's like, right, okay, I put it in, and it was like a Beats of Rage game. I was like, man, I just spent like £8 on this game I thought was like ultra rare, and yeah, it's just, I don't know. I mean, I've not looked into any of those, but I've not looked into those. It's probably just a ghost or something just flying by. It usually happens. but you can't see what that is. That's 18-wheeler Pro American Trucker, whatever it is. But
Nice.
Gosh, I'm playing
yeah.
that in Dog's Age.
yeah, I've played it in the arcade. It's massive steering wheel like a bus, and so a Tokyo Bus Guide must be amazing to play that game. But no, I haven't played any Beats of Rage games. I should get into it. I want to check out if somebody does a Streets of Rage 4 one, that'd be amazing, or the Turtles new one for the Dreamcast, or even just the original Turtles, Simpsons, Captain Commando. You know, those sort of ones would be pretty cool. But they're probably already out there, but I've not looked. And now that I've got a GDEMU, I could probably try and download them. But back in the day when I was burning discs on it, yeah, I just didn't have enough discs to keep burning these games. And then when I realized they took about 5 minutes to load and ruin the GD-ROM, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna bother.
Yeah, I fixed that.
You fix that now? Cool. I'll check some out.
Yeah. Also, 7 seconds on the serial port.
Serial port, awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome,
serial
yeah.
port also 7 seconds. The serial port beats GDEMU and the other one. 7 seconds. I do a video countdown show. That's because I can get more random reads at the exact same time. It's not physically limited. A GDEMU is still physically limited to what a GD-ROM can do. The serial port is not. That engine loves the serial port because I can load lots of tiny little files all at once. Boom, like that. See? So that engine is suited to the serial port. So I released both. Megavolt 85 gave me some BIOS reactivation code, so that makes them work on both. So that will be the next update for Dreamboard, because the CDI will work on both because it has BIOS reactivation code. But I haven't done that yet. That's coming.
Awesome.
When I get the time.
We're learning about a lot of stuff coming soon from everyone at the moment, so this is good news. What about yourself then, Mr. Sorry?
That'll save people having to download 2 different versions. That's
right.
Okay.
Ideal. Mr. Neo, come on. What's yours then?
I've never played one.
Oh!
Don't know anything about it.
Oh man. No, I mean it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, have you not seen any at all? Like any footage of any you think look pretty decent, or?
I mean, I've seen the footage. You know, I'm on Dreamcast Talk most days, and I see a lot of the releases come out. But I haven't played them. You know, really the only game I've ever played that's like a Streets of Rage would be the Simpsons one, a classic. But yeah, I just haven't played any.
That's fair enough.
I don't know.
So, I mean, obviously we're in an hour and 40 now, so we got one last question, and it is: what console do you want to see emulated on the Dreamcast? Who's going first? James, you're going first.
Okay. Probably Neo Geo Pocket would be good.
I should
whether
introduce
it's
you to
already out.
Ian Michael.
Yeah, I think Ian's already done that.
Oh well, see, look, I don't know about the scene, you know, but could that emulation then link with the Dreamcast again? Because no, okay, because with the link cable and whatnot, so you couldn't do that emulation to hardware original.
I have one of those cables
that are based on do not have link capability in the code whatsoever. So
cool.
The port that it's based on, the PC side, doesn't have any link. They didn't reverse the BIOS. They didn't do that part. So
okay. So for me then, I'll scrap that idea then. So I'm going to go with the Nokia N-Gage.
No,
Nokia N-Gage.
Because
he loves
because that has like
he does love
because that has online elements as well. Because I used to play that online. And some of the games are like PS1 graphics, like Pandemonium, Tony Hawk's. So yeah, and Tomb Raider, and there's a Virtual Cop on there, there's a Sega Rally on there. So yeah, emulation for an N-Gage would be awesome.
Awesome, thank you very much, James. And over to Connor.
Honestly, any console that isn't currently emulated. But if Dreamcast can emulate, I mean, obviously I don't. Oh, let's put the Nintendo Wii on Dreamcast. You know, let's see what goes bad. No, obviously anything that Dreamcast can. I someone mentioned I'm seeing a lot of stuff in the chat. Sega CE. I guess the operating system for that. I guess 3DO, Sega CD. Oh, Sega CD. It must have been a typo. Yeah, Sega CD. Definitely. I wonder if you could make it so to be emulator and read the original games. I doubt you could because that takes a lot of processing, a lot of RAM.
Mhm.
Yeah, not nearly enough power. Oh, well, I think it's some N64 emulation, but I think it could be applied to Sega CD emulation running the actual discs. But it's a little sad about the N64 because I feel like I would love to see that, but I don't think it's possible. But I feel like if it could be optimized, it could be a whole different ball game. But honestly, yeah, I mean, anything that the Dreamcast could feasibly run. Someone mentioned Atari Jaguar. Yes, I'm streaming chat right now. Model 3 arcade games. I don't know. Tech guys, tell me if that can be possible. I feel like I feel like my heart to hearts anything's possible, but at the same time, you guys tell me like, okay, let's see if it's actually feasible. But honestly, I feel like there's similarities enough where it could be feasibly possible, but I'm not entirely sure. But my final answer is has Game Boy Advance ever been done on Dreamcast? Because I would love to see that be done. Honestly,
That's a good
Yes,
question, actually.
That is
Yes.
a good question. Yeah.
Yes, and it runs at 15 frames a second with sound, and I'm working on that.
Ah,
well, like I said, anything that has been done, I've gotten out of the Dreamcast emulators on Dreamcast scene because I've been focused on a lot of just main Dreamcast games. But I feel like anything that can be done, and heck, even a MAME something or other, if it's possible, could be. I'd like to see that. So that's my final. Actually, has anyone done it in television yet? Put it in television on there.
Yes, I did that. I did in a television 2003.
oh, there you go then.
Wow.
There you go.
That's awesome.
You should play GameCube just because it'd be cool. Oh
It's
god,
great.
I think you need to get more power from GameCube. I'm a sinister retro kid.
You can play as the only thing it doesn't play is the voice games, but you can play all the other games. It also has the IntelliMess. You can hold each what do you call those damn things again? Triggers, and get all the buttons. That was the hardest part, mapping all the buttons of Intellivision to a controller like the Dreamcast. So you have to have shifts. So that was done. Yeah, that's already done.
Actually, I just thought something. Sorry to cut you off. Has the Amiga been emulated on yet?
Yes.
Yes. Everything I'm thinking has it done. Like, yes, it's been done. I was like, okay, I need to look up all this stuff.
Basically, anything 16-bit and down's already been done.
All
About
right.
the Tiger Gamecom.
I'm not sure. Maybe.
Yeah.
That one I don't know. I mean, I remember someone working on one at a long time ago.
Got Sonic Jam, Resident Evil 2 on there. Yeah, that'd be quite cool.
Yeah, I think
because the emulator for that is better than the actual original hardware. So
it would be.
no, but I mean, because you couldn't really see it on the handheld, and to see it on a screen is a lot better.
If you're talking about the one I'd want to see eliminated, is the Sharp 68,000. Properly.
I don't even know what that is. I don't.
Sharp 68,000 was a Japanese 16-bit computer in around 89, which has the best ports of Konami ports, some Sega ports, the best shoot 'em ups, and it was a very expensive machine, but it was in Japan. And just look it up, the X68000 Sharp. It's better than the Amiga as far as graphics, sound, and all that. It's comparable with the Super Nintendo as far as that. So the Sharp, that's what I'd like to see, the Sharp.
Ah, that's an interesting choice.
Sharp X68000. Look up some of the games; they're quite amazing. Space Harrier, Outrun, all those games, and the shoot 'em up, the bullet hell shoot 'em ups in it. They kind of already look like almost Saturn.
Is
Yes,
that the machine? Is that the one?
that's it for sure.
It looks like
Yes.
it's taking home
Wow.
stereo.
It does have a high
It does.
vibe.
I had a stereo that looks like that.
Yes.
It kind of does, to be fair. Wow. Yeah, to be fair, there's so many systems I don't know that even existed.
It has amazing sound and it has amazing ability. It shares the same as the Mega Drive processor, but it's faster. Well, just a bit. It has different catch, but it shares the Motorola 68K. So it has that family of processors. So if you look up some of the games, especially the shoot 'em ups on it, they're magnificent, and some of them are exclusive. So that would be nice. That one there.
See,
What about
for
you?
me,
Yeah, I was going to say Mr. Neo. Go for it.
yeah, I want the NEC PC 8001, which is a similar obscure console. It's like from the same area as all the classic home computers. You know, it has the same CPU as the NES, but just like a little small personal computer that has a handful of really cool exclusive games. Lots of color. You know, it could only do text mode graphics, but it had a really a smart kind of character set that was made for games. So that one definitely.
Did you say 8001?
Yeah, the NEC PC 8000. Yeah, that guy right there.
Yeah, I know that one as well.
That
Awesome.
keyboard needs some retro brights.
No, it came like that. Sadly.
Oh, it did?
Oh, did it?
Yeah, it came pre-faded for you. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah,
awesome.
no.
Hi, Mad Dog.
What's FM Towns?
FM Towns is another good machine. It had a lot of full motion video type games, but it did have some exclusives. I think it had Snatcher and some other ones and some adventure games and a lot of anime and stuff like that. But FM Towns is a great machine. Might be possible. I've never looked into an open source thing that you could port that is an FM Towns eliminator. So, but it was a nice machine, obscure as well. But there is some major games on it.
I have to check it out.
Mhm.
Did you finish Mr. Neo?
Yeah, just that one. I was gonna say it just and only because what is it, Pascocom or whatever, just released like a mini version of it. And it basically just comes with a little Raspberry Pi inside with a custom ROM. And I watched an LGR video, and some of the games looked actually really very fun, like just kind of those quick, simple arcade games. There it is. Yeah.
There it is. That's a cool looking thing, isn't it?
I can tell you if MES supports it, then I can compile a version of it.
MES probably does, because it's around that time period.
That's what I thought. I remember seeing it in the makefile list on MES. I'm pretty sure.
Just seen the question here saying that apparently someone's decompiling Super Monkey Ball for Naomi. Not sure if he is trying to get it running on the Dreamcast. Do you reckon that could happen?
Well, it came out on the Nokia N-Gage.
Well, yeah.
So yes, it can.
And we got a couple more questions, well, not questions, more statements here. Someone said the BBC Micro and Dragon. BBC Micro? I can't see that. How? Well, I mean, who would want that? First of all,
people who want to play obscure Doctor Who games.
Well, yeah,
we already have the BBC Micro, Eliminator, and Dragon.
Oh, really?
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
What about the?
Like I said, every time I say, "Oh, I want this," we already have it.
Well, back in that era, 2002 to 4, I mean, the devs went crazy. Anything that could be ported, we ported. If you go to dcemulation.org and check the ported list, you might be surprised.
Oh yeah, definitely.
See, I think we're so far along in the Dreamcast scene life cycle that like people are forgetting projects that happened because it wasn't their era. They weren't interested. Literally 20 years ago. which is
Or
totally
people were
fair.
too busy being in kindergarten.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, they were too busy not owning a Dreamcast.
Yeah, I'm the old man in the room here. I've been in the Dreamcast scene, or whatever you want to call it, 2002 April.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was 15 at that point. So, I mean, yeah, I guess I was playing the Dreamcast, but obviously I didn't really know anything about the community in that sense.
Yeah.
I was just playing the games that were released in the shops. So,
I think I was 5 at that point.
It was a good time. It used to be felt like a rush to port whatever we can port. And that's why some of it wasn't finished, or what care wasn't put into how it run. It was more a concept. So it used to be, if I don't port it today, he'll port it tomorrow. That's what it felt like. It was like, that did happen. A couple of times a dev, we put out the same thing at the same time.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
So it was like the Wild West of porting things to Dreamcast.
What about the Amstrad? Any of the Amstrad systems?
Yep.
Of course.
Yep. You should know the answer to that one's going to be yes.
We have all those sort of systems. The Amstrad CPCs 64. A good version as well.
Where can you get that? I've never found that.
I have it.
I'll be tapping you up after this.
He has it in a vault somewhere. It's like there's the Amstrad emulators. Like you have to crack the save. It's like you can only get it if you crack the code.
And the source code, because that source code to me is more important than the compiled binary.
There is the first link on Google. If you search Dreamcast CPC, is Dream CPC.
Oh, it's on there, is it?
Oh, yeah.
There it is. Someone cracked the safe.
Oh man, version 0.1 alpha 3. You might want to wait for Ian's.
Yeah.
There's two. There's one by what's his name, J something. There's two different versions.
JMD is what it looks like.
Yeah, JMD, and there's two versions. The first one has no sound.
Love
and
it.
the next one, it's pretty much finished. It had sound. It ran pretty much full speed and everything like that. So I don't know if that version's up there, because what I've noticed with Dreamcast projects from way back is the ones that are saved are usually the first upload or the second, but not actually the final version that was done by people. Mm. And a lot of times you're downloading projects that somehow they got saved on the internet, but they're not actually the final version of anything.
Yeah.
As a total kind of side tangent, but very related to that, for the PSP community, actually, there's a project I'm involved in, the PSP Homebrew Archive, which has gone through and with the gentleman Pierre from France, we've actually archived and saved over 2,000 different homebrews for the PSP and tried to kind of eliminate that problem of, we have the first version, but there's a finished version that we can find articles on. And so we have this huge, I think now it's like 2,300 item collection on archive.org of all of these homebrews, just so nothing gets lost,
Yeah.
So I think something like that for Dreamcast could be so worthwhile, because even this, like the Dream CPC, like I found a version, but then Ian said he knows of a version that's much better. But how would the average person find a good version?
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, though, isn't it? Sometimes we're searching for stuff and it's kind of lost to the internet, if you know what I mean.
Well, he was part of the French Dreamcast scene, and that whole website had lots of homebrew that is gone forever. I don't have it either. There was tons of things they ported, games, applications, things. They're all gone. The French scene that I can't find. I can only find the Buggy demo and a few others, but they had a whole scene just like everyone else. Same with the Spanish scene or the Brazilian scene. They have games and stuff in there that no one even talks about that are way better than what people think. The Dreamcast ES, they had wonderful stuff that is not mainstream or people know about.
Yeah.
So when you'd be archiving for different regions, because you had the Dreamcast, DCemulation.org, that was more American, maybe UK, and then you had the French scene, and they had their own forums, they had their own everything, and JMD was there and a few other ones, and they were major people that did stuff, but they stayed a lot of the times. Their new stuff was on their forum, and it never come over to the other side. And then that's the same with the Dreamcast ES or a Spanish or Brazilian.
Especially Dreamcast ES.
Yes, they have.
Yeah.
They have stuff. They have lots of the lost stuff that is gone. I mean, I had to hunt for nearly 2 or 3 years to find particular APIs, and I got in touch with one of them that still actually had it and sent it to me. But who would do that? I mean, you expect 3 years to find one thing, to compile one thing. I mean, that's the type of thing. There's still lots of things lost like that. Like Dream Inducer, there's parts of it you can't compile because they're lost. And I mean, that's the self-boot inducer. I tried to recreate some of it, but no. So through the years, things have been lost, the final versions and stuff like that on Dreamcast. I mean, I have about 4 terabytes of stuff, but it's still not everything. There's lots of things missing. Scene demos, source code to scene demos, all sorts of things. Games, ports, behind the scenes source code and ports, like that developer gave to this guy or that guy. There's tons of stuff that we don't see, that probably never will see.
Yeah. And literally, I know the exact file that Ian is talking about that he searched for 3 years. Yeah. I kept seeing references to it for probably all of 2018 and 2019, and people would be like, oh yeah, it's just in this file and here's the link. But like every link, everyone who said, oh, I have it, it's just gone. But you can see references to it, and Ian was able to reach out to one of the people who actually did have that exact file, and now it's saved, which is very cool.
Yeah, I like to do that. I've done the same with the port of Allegro, and that enables you to compile new versions of OpenSonic. That's the next thing I'm gonna try and port up to Koch 2.0, because I've got it working on the older one, and you can actually make fan games with the OpenSonic, the older versions. And that Allegro I've got all working. That was another reach out. That was another project. I was looking and talking to people for such a long time. And finally, the guy got back to me and says, oh, yes, I have that, and sent it to me. Otherwise, that's lost. You wouldn't be able to make any. And there's about, I don't know, 200 or 300 games you can port using it.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. That's made me think. I wish someone could make a fan 3D Sonic game. Well, I'm having Mike. I say I have to go. I have a client that needs me, but I will see you guys later. All right. Take care. This has been fun. I hope to
see you later, my friend.
Hope to see you guys in another podcast.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for joining. Thank you very much. I was going to say we're obviously going to pretty much end it there now because it's been 2 hours. 2 hours. Yeah,
I had a blue screen of death in the middle of it.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, I messaged you. I was like, "Where's he gone?" And he's like, "Yeah."
I was talking. It was GTA software. I was talking about GTA, and they got me.
They knew, and they were like, "That's it. Get him out.
Get him out."
So, obviously, yeah, I want to thank you all for coming tonight. Like I said, this was the first kind of. It was just an idea. And I was just like, why does no one really stream and talk about the Dreamcast? So it was kind of just a tester, really, just to see if anyone really wanted to talk about it. And clearly they do, because we've now got more people watching than halfway through the show. So it's clearly popular. We know it is, because that's why we love the Dreamcast so much. So obviously, like I said, I want to thank you all. Do you all want to go and talk about where they can all find you? I mean, James, you first.
Yeah. So yeah, James from Itsmuchmore. My name's there on the screen. So yeah, I do Dreamcast videos, Evercade videos. I'm quite active in the Discord side of things as well, on the online Dreamcast side of things. So whenever you go on your phone and type in Dreamcast now on Google or any other search engine, and you find it, I think it's called Dreamcast.online or something. And you tend to see me online on a Dreamcast game, and there is regular meetups. So yeah, Dreamcast UK is my name on there. So that's where you find me. I'm not a dev or anything like that. I'm just was kind of interested in the online side of things for the Dreamcast, and I still play that quite a lot now. So that's where you'll find me playing games online for the Dreamcast.
Thank you very much, James. Over to Ian.
Oh well, you can find me on my dev YouTube channel. It's a myriad of wacky, weird stuff. Sometimes you never know what you're going to get on there with me, but I usually show the latest projects I'm doing, demos, and stuff like that. And I also show other people's stuff that are close to me, like Mr. Neo 240. If he has a new build of New Quake, I'll show that. So you can reach me on. You just go into YouTube and type Ian Michael Dreamcast, and you'll find my channel.
Thank you very much, Ian. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
And Mr. Neo.
Typically for me, just on Discord a lot, on kind of any of the, I don't know, there's like at least 6 different Dreamcast Discords. So if you're in one of them, I'll be there. Definitely Ian's, Gamers Ups, Dreamcast Talk, Dreamcast Online. Yeah, or on Twitter under Hayden Kowalczyk. Yeah, or Dreamcast Talk forums, Obscure Gamer forums, just wherever. I'll be there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Neo. So yeah, like I said, I want to thank everyone for coming today because it's been awesome. And like I said, we've hit the 2-hour mark. So we're going to end it there. Now, obviously, you know how I pretty much end all of my videos. I'm going to say like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you at the next stream. Thank you very much, everyone. And we'll see you all soon. See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.